Welcome back, everyone, to 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. I am the Search for Tiki, and tonight we're excited to be talking to renowned tiki artist Doug Horne, whose artwork hangs in many famous tiki bars. He's been designing mugs for tiki events for a very long time, and we're also excited to be giving away not one, but two fantastic mugs sculpted by one of our sponsors, Dave Cohen. He goes by the artist name of Squid. These are the Tiki Travelers, and it is a pilot tiki. These are huge, by the way. The pictures don't show just how big they are, but we have the captain or the pilot of the flight, and then we have the Tiki Traveler, and he's got his little camera and a suitcase, and my personal favorite detail right here on the back, there's a little coconut monkey from his travels. So we're going to be giving away these two mugs from Squid, made in the USA by Tiki Bauer, at the end of the interview with Doug Horne. We're also, during the interview, going to be giving away two other things from our sponsors. The first is a straw from Surfside Sips. It is a one of one right now. It is a Frankenstein straw. Surfside Sips adds class with glass. He removes plastic from the oceans by using glass straws in your cocktails in your home tiki bars. And then the other giveaway we have is also monster themed. It is this mummy pin from the Black Lagoon room, and his wrappings are kind of falling off. And he's having a tiki cocktail too, but he's in an old ancient chalice. Black Lagoon room, they make mugs, monster inspired things. They're another great page to follow. Let's see if we can hear. Guys, if you have any questions during the interview, feel free to pop them in the comments, and I will try to actively read them. And, yeah. What on earth, Doug? I love it, dude.
Welcome to the Swampfire Lounge.
Tis the season. Halloween greetings to you, Doug.
So I've been collecting these vintage Halloween masks. So I have three of these things. So I don't know if that's a collection. You know, if you have three tiki mugs, is that a collection?
Sure. Your collection has to start somewhere. I guess the question is, do you plan on owning more than three?
Yeah, I have another one here. Let me show you my third one. It's actually a little kitty cat.
Of course you would have a cat.
Yeah, exactly. So these things are small for my giant head. So, yeah, it's. I love Halloween. I love horror films. So,
I never would have guessed that about you.
Yeah. Well, I love tiki too. So,
which came first, the horror or the tiki?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I don't know. Probably the tiki, I guess. Yeah, I liked horror as a kid, but I started getting into tiki probably, in the 90s.
Okay.
I was kind of aware of it. But yeah, the horror, I've gotten into it probably more. I love movies, so yeah. In fact, here's my. Are you having a cocktail tonight?
Of course I'm having a cocktail. What mug do you think I'm using? You've got a Denison. I have my my Captain JM Mallory from Undertow.
One of my favorite bars. That place is great. They serve amazing drinks. I don't think I've had a bad drink there. So
no, but I have to
confess,
really good. When I went there for Tiki Oasis in Arizona, they tell you which drinks are the strongest. I was like, whatever, and it turned out it was pretty strong.
Was it like the zombie or something, or?
Well, because you have 90 minutes, right? So you have a couple drinks, and they have 3 bars there, and so we made the mistake of going to more than one of the Undertow bars, and it was the blood of the Dodo put me over the edge.
Yeah, they don't put little skulls next to their drinks, so it's kind of they don't give you that warning. It's like kind of sneaks up on you. So.
It's also like it's like a book. It's not just like a menu. It's like you only have 90 minutes, and it's impossible. It's like do I want to drink cocktails? Do I want to socialize, or do I want to read?
Yeah, they have their story, which yeah, and you're in a dark bar, and it's like, do you feel like reading this whole story? And that's kind of what that Dodo bird is based on. I have the what do I do with that? No, I thought I pulled it out. And he had a Dodo bird that went along with the captain.
Yeah, I have the print here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So captain
So
and the captain's companion, right?
Right. Yeah.
When you made this print, like how much direction did they give you?
Actually none. They just, they gave me the story, and they just said come up with something, So that's kind of, and the Dodo bird and the captain were Captain Mallory were kind of the main figures in the story. So yeah. But I know that when they did a super elaborate menu when they first opened.
Yep.
They had like a wood cover, and people were stealing them. And they spent, I think they were like $40 for these menus. So they weren't cheap, So then they had to downsize to a cheaper menu, But it's kind of an ongoing story with their thing. But,
yeah, every menu is like a whole new. What is the Dodo's relationship to the captain? Because like obviously like he's got like feet on, he's got his outfit, so he's like a part of the crew, right?
Yeah, he became part of the crew. Yeah, he was they kind of wrangled him, and he was wild, and they kind of tamed him a bit. So yeah, it's so that bar back in the 90s and 80s. I grew up in that neighborhood, and I used to get, it used to be like a Jiffy Lube or Avis Lube shop.
Yep.
So where the bar is downstairs, or was, used to be where they, get into the car and change the oil. So I used to get my oil changed at this place. It was right down the street from me. And I'm like, little did I know I'd be getting a Mai Tai down in the oil bay of this Jiffy Lube, like 10 years later. It's so funny.
That's so excellent.
Yeah,
how did you come to work on Undertow? Did they approach you?
Yeah, and I remember when they were doing the build and everything. Yeah, I think they came to me. So it was kind of, when they contacted me, I said, well, I'm a native of Phoenix, and it's good to tell that story if you want to, So it's pretty exciting. Yeah, I live in Long Beach now, so I go back to Phoenix a lot. I have older parents out there, so I go about like once a month. So I get a chance to visit Undertow. It's two guys that I know they have investors. It's two guys that own it.
Yep.
They're all about being creative and stuff. So
it's fantastic. So I've been there a couple times. People, if you haven't gone to Undertow, it's like one of the top 5, in my opinion, bars to go to.
Last time I was there, my friend from Flagstaff came down. I said, "Oh, we got to go to Undertow." So I've known him since like the '80s, and he's not a tiki guy at all. And he walks in and he goes, "Y'all have a beer?" I was like, "Dude, you're killing me."
I didn't even know they had beer there.
Yeah, it was pretty. They didn't have a lot. Yeah, they only had a few selections, But yeah, because there's like the Bikini Lounge out in Phoenix, which is like the historic place in Phoenix. But it's a total dive bar. It's got that history behind it, but it's a beer place for sure. Don't order a Mai Tai there, But it's on Grand Avenue, which is kind of a sleazy part of town. It's getting better, but when I first went in there, it was a total dive bar. I mean, they had some thatching up, but it was just tattered and dusty. And then probably, I don't know, maybe in the 2000s sometime, the new owners came in. They started adding tiki artwork, so they kind of got it, and they started making tiki mugs, so they're a little more, into it, So, but yeah, one time I ordered a painkiller and a Hooters, so that was a fun experience.
How was that?
Well, the waitress was like, "A what? A painkiller?" So I described it. She goes, "I'll ask the bartender," and I don't even know what she brought me. It was kind of a pina colada kind of thing.
Some
So, but
ungodly
it was,
concoction.
yeah.
Was it edible?
Yeah. Luckily there was a planter nearby. I could kind of
Oh.
yeah, nice press, you know. So, so yeah, it was a fun experiment, you know. So
You probably can't say. So Undertow has a new location they're working on, right? Are you doing anything for the new
yeah.
location, or is that?
I donated a piece to them. It's actually a portrait of Captain Mallory, like
Okay. Yep.
chest. And I don't have any mug projects with them. I know they work a lot with Danny. So yeah, it's probably need to hit them up with last time I was in there, the owner was like, you know, during COVID, he had a lot of time off. I was sitting at the bar with him and he had all these ideas for, you know, he wanted to do a big shark jaw with like, the teeth are like mugs. That if you order a certain special drink, you pull this music goes off and you pull the mug off the shark jaw. And then he goes, oh, and I want to do a ring that, you know, you walk up, if people get this ring, you walk up to a tiki or somewhere in the bar that you hold it up there and Doug Horne art comes in the portholes and, or I think he said, give me the ring and I could walk in and so I could kind of ignite this like animation thing.
But only Doug
like,
has the key.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds kind of cool. I don't know. So yeah, it could be kind of fun. But I asked him, I was like, yeah, you have all these creative ideas. And he was like, oh, it's been kind of slow with COVID. You know, he's been kind of cooped up. So just
That's what you do, right? Just let the wheels turn.
Exactly.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
What did you do during COVID? Because you depend a lot on events, right? For like art shows and that kind of stuff.
Not as much as I used to. I used to do a lot. I used to do like 40 shows a year. But I was doing, I call them general public art fairs, where they're not tiki, they're not rockabilly hot rod shows, they're not specialized shows.
Yep.
They're just general public art fairs. So I just kind of got burned out. You know, I started seeing a lot of artists that, you know, get to know artists in that scene, on that circuit, you know, and a lot of them have been doing it forever. You know, they got a hump on their back, they're schlepping a canopy, and I was like, okay, is this my future? So I cut back on those shows a lot, and so I've managed. So I'm basically down to like 5 or 6 shows a year. You know, like mostly tiki shows. I do Viva Las Vegas, because basically my plan was to step up online sales, and then
Yep.
cut back on shows. You know, and also I do a lot of commission stuff as well. So yeah, which is fine. So it's funny doing those. I did one in Indio, California, and it was like a high-end fine art show in this beautiful park. And so I was, on one side of me was the bronze Western stuff.
Okay.
And it's all beautiful, beautiful artwork. You know, the talent is amazing. And on the other side of me was the photorealistic desert landscape artist. You know, and people would come to the show and they would walk by my booth and goes, monkeys in a tiki bar? What is this crap? Or they would like it. You know, it's kind of I kind of stood out.
Yeah.
But also, I remember at that show, there were a lot of wildlife painters. And again, they're really talented artists, you know, like, but if I saw another owl sitting on a branch or a leopard sitting on a branch painting, I was going to lose my mind. Because every other had that kind of artwork in it, you know. So those were good. You know, people kind of discover you know, that were kind of that kind of stuff. You know, the tiki, or I guess lowbrow or pop kind of art. You know. So I mean, those were, because I still have people that kind of come to me and they're like, "Oh, I discovered tiki through you back in, you know, when you did the show at India or whatever, India." And I travel up to like Northern California. I used to do a show in Mountain View, which was good. So yeah, I kind of got a little burned out on doing those because they're a ton of work, you know.
Yep.
And you talk to artists that do the shows and they recommend, like, oh, you do great at this show, and then I go do it, and the only way you can find out is if you do it. you know, it's like, oh, you'll make tons of money. And I'd go do the show and I'm like, oh, this sucks. You know, and I would run into them at the show and I'd be like, this show's really bad. You recommended it. And I'm like, yeah, this year is really bad. So it was that, and then you'd hit some shows that are really good. And, but you know, I try and look at the positive that it's, you're kind of reaching people that normally maybe you wouldn't reach if you're just stuck in the tiki scene,
Yep.
you know, or in the hot rod scene or whatever, rockabilly, you know. So, like I still do Viva Las Vegas, which is a really good show. But other than Viva, it's basically tiki shows like Oasis and
Caliente.
Tiki Caliente.
Do you ever travel to Florida, or is that like too far to be reasonable?
Well, you know, I did Hukilau 4 years in a row, way back when, and basically I haven't. That was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. So it's been a while since I've been to that show. I want to go back. You know, it is a pain to kind of get your stuff out there. So you either load up a suitcase or you start shipping stuff, and you know. So
you didn't drive?
No. Yeah, I'm not. I talked to John Mulder, and he's like, "Oh, I drove 40 hours straight." And I'm like, "Seriously? At your age?" So it's like, I can't do it. I can go maybe 5 or 6 hours, but you know, after that I'm done. So, you know, I have to get a hotel or something. So, yeah.
Wow, I thought you'd be more dedicated than that, Doug.
I think so.
It's like Kim Bang. Kim Bang's
They all-
always driving all over the place. I don't understand how Kim does it. I'd be exhausted.
Another one. He loves to drive, and yeah, it's those lines on the freeway that put me to sleep. I don't know. I can't handle it. You know, especially if I'm alone. It's kind of tough. But yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm down to like 5 shows a year, basically at this point.
So you worked on Undertow. What was the first tiki bar that you worked on? Do you remember?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe Forbidden Island.
Okay.
That goes back in Alameda.
The mug or the print?
The menu. I did their menu. I did a mug. I've done a couple mugs for them. Trying to think who else would have been an early. You know, maybe Golden Tiki in Vegas.
Okay.
I've done some stuff for them, their logo, and yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to think about that one. But yeah, the Forbidden Island stuff goes back a ways. So yeah.
Let's do a giveaway because I got some questions I want to ask you, and this is pertinent to that. So
Speaking of
look at this
giveaways.
Frankenstein straw.
Oh, that's cool. So I want to do a giveaway. If we can do it later, but yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, we can do
I'll let
that.
you know. I'll talk to you. Yeah.
So Frankenstein
Cool.
straw from Surfside Sips. Here's the question. First person to answer it correctly in the comments will get the straw. Where did I put it? There it is. So, Doug is
Is that
part
a-
of
a glass?
an art collective with some other artists, and they did this legendary Realms Bowl. There were 4 artists that designed each pillar of the bowl. What were the 4 artists? Write them in the comments. First person to get it correct will win the straw. How did the Gargantuas come about?
Basically, when I moved to California, I think it's about 12 years ago from Phoenix. Ken Ruzick and Tom Laura, we started doing these art jams at Ken Ruzick's studio. And I think they had done a couple shows before I came on board. So they invited me to do the shows, and yeah, that's kind of how it started, just from those art jams. You know, we do them maybe like once a month or something like that. So yeah, so they've been great because it kind of forces me to do some original pieces, and yeah. Oh, did someone get it?
Someone got Howling Coffin got it right. Not only did they get it right, but they also put in parentheses. So each of these pillars, right, or deities, was based off a particular sea, land, air, and the underworld.
Right.
Why did
Yeah, mine
you
was the,
pick C?
what's that?
So this one's you, right?
Yeah.
And that
Mark
is
Cason.
C?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I got the little waves on the bottom down there. So, yeah.
People can see. So your names are written on like the pillars here on the bottom. What was it like working on a bowl? Like ceramics are hard enough as it is. What's it like working with 3 other artists on a design?
It's I mean, I don't know all those guys, so we kind of each, basically the body of the bowl is kind of the part where we kind of have to come together because we're kind of each designing our own pillar. Um, and it was a great experience. You know, I like working with other artists. You know, I like collaborating stuff. So, and speaking of bowls, we have another one. I'll show you. We have another one coming out, which is hopefully coming out in December, early December. We're working with Bauer. This one is
It's so good.
There's mine. That's mine. This is the Night Marchers bowl.
Yep.
So that one's mine. That one is Ken Ruzick. And that one's Big Toe. Can you see that?
The man, Tom, Laura.
Yeah. Is it for my Frozen? And let's see.
Coming back in just a sec. All right.
That's Macbeth. And this one is Ken Ruzick.
So every year, is it an annual thing? And if so, every year you bring in so the 4th artist switches out?
Yeah. So we switch out. We've done, originally it was just the 3 of us. And then, she's probably about 4 years ago, we started adding an artist in, like Candy Weil, Susie Mosher, spacing out who else. There's a couple other artists. So more recently, it was Macbeth joined us, so that was a lot of fun. So we kind of been working with glaze colors on that because instead of a shiny gray, we're going for a matte finish, which has been a challenge on the mug. So we finally got a glaze approved, and Bauer Pottery is doing that. So hopefully early December we'll have that out. So
I had no idea how hard it was. Like we encountered this on Bad Kitty too. How hard it was to get a glaze that's matte. For whatever reason,
yeah,
it seems with mugs, it's very easy to obtain glossy glazes. But then when you want to make something look kind of old and authentic and dingy, like it belongs in a tiki bar, suddenly it becomes very, very difficult.
Well, when I design these mugs, my theory on that whole thing, and for me over the years, the most frustrating thing has been the glazing. You know, in my mind, I have something visualized, and there's limitations. And my theory on the gloss and the matte is, if you want it to look like it's wet, like a sea creature, or maybe a mermaid, or whatever, I think this is the way to go. You know, if it's something like driftwood, or I tend to want to go more matte finish. You know, the first mugs I did with Tiki Farm, I told Holden, I was like, I want to do a matte finish. She goes, no, those don't sell. We can't do matte. So I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So, you know, that's always been a frustration of mine. And speaking of which, my very first mugs that I ever designed were with Tiki Farm.
Okay.
Back in probably 2003, I think it was, that we did these. We did a set of 3 mugs. So that's my Grog, and then I did Goon, that guy.
I love the bones in his nose.
The shot glass.
Now, were those sold as the set of 3, or were they sold independently?
I think they sold them separately, but we did the green. The green glaze was the first.
Okay.
wave, and then he did a brown glaze, which is it's kind of an ochre brown glaze. So that was my first set of tiki mugs I designed. I think that was around 2003 or four. My first Tiki Oasis, Holden walked into my booth and said, "Oh, I want to design tiki mugs with you." And at that time, I was a collector, so I was like, "Sure, that'd be awesome." So yeah, that was kind of. I've mostly collected. This is before all these mug makers came out.
Yep.
I was kind of collecting vintage mugs on eBay. So I was totally into it. So yeah, those are the ones I kind of came up with. So that kind of got the ball rolling with the tiki mug designing and stuff. So
what do you still collect, and what do you collect now in terms of like an overall theme?
Mostly newer stuff. There's so much great stuff out there. But I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't buy it on eBay. I'd rather buy it at an event, or maybe know the artist that did it, or, it has a story behind it where you're live at the event. Or collecting that way. There's kind of a disconnect when you're just, and I used to do this years ago. I'd just buy it on eBay, and you'd be like bidding last minute and that stress. And, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'd rather have a little emotional attachment to the piece, and like something that's like an event. A good example is MP's his meatloaf mug. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's hideous. It's probably one of the ugliest mugs I think I've ever seen. And I remember seeing it online. I'm like, God, that's ugly. It's horrible.
You're like,
and it was associated with the Charles Phoenix thing. So I went to Charles Phoenix's event where MP was selling them, and Charles Phoenix talked about the mug and the history of what he made this meatloaf thing, and I couldn't get over to MP's booth fast enough to buy that mug because it's like, okay, it had this little story behind it, and I thought that was kind of cool, So I cherished that mug.
That is 100% Charles Phoenix. He can be talking about like a paper bag that was from the 1920s, and somehow he makes it super interesting.
Yeah, but then so I was live at this event, and I was like, oh yeah, MP was there selling in a little corner over there, and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool to own this, because so that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just kind of I'd rather have some kind of emotional attachment, because if I was at a point where I was boxing mugs and they were in my garage and I wasn't enjoying them because I just didn't have the shelf space, and that really bothered me. So yeah, I've just kind of been in that mode, and I don't have a ton of mugs. I've maybe 200 mugs, so it's not a huge collection, So
when you first started collecting, were there any particular artists that you were like, wow, this is incredible, that you looked up to on the tiki scene?
Yeah, I really loved Monk Tiki's stuff. I think a lot of it was their creativity. They did traditional stuff, but they also put their own twist on it, which is what I loved. Paul and Miles are really creative, and they were pretty amazing. I remember in the early days, seeing Bosco's site. I liked his stuff. And then Crazy Al, his carvings and stuff like that. And then Crazy Al, I know later kind of got into the mug thing. But I love his stuff too. And he's actually my neighbor. He lives next door to me. So it's kind of...
Is that a joke or is that real?
No, he lives right. He lives, we actually share our backyard. So he's out there carving.
How did that happen?
Well, he actually told me there's a house in the front, and he said, oh, this house is for rent, and I lived in the neighborhood, and I wasn't looking to move, but it was more space, and it just opened up, and I love the space, and so he's out there. He'll be on the backyard carving. He's funny because he starts at 10 in the morning until 6, solid. I mean, he will not stop. So I'll throw little Snickers bars out to him. Say, hey, you need some protein. take a little thing of peanuts for him. So, but it's pretty amazing to see him out there carving. Yeah, he's so talented. Yeah, and I love his mugs too. This one's one of my favorites of his. The cactus.
Oh yeah, that one's relatively new, right? Maybe
Yeah,
this year.
I think within the last. Yeah, so I saw him trying to find these little hats, because I guess they're like vintage hats that he had to turn into. I guess they were normally like fedoras or something.
Okay.
Kind of turned into. So yeah, being from Arizona and he's from Scottsdale, that was kind of a cool connection. That desert thing. So.
What brought you to California?
At the time, basically, I was shipping a lot of stuff out here. A lot of events were happening out here, so I kind of and I had just purchased a house in Phoenix right when, like, 2007, 2008, when the market crashed. It was like the worst time to buy a house. And it was in a neighborhood in Phoenix that I didn't want. It was on the outskirts of Phoenix, and I didn't want to be out there. So I was like, at the time, my girlfriend and I were kind of like, we need to be in California, and so that's when that kind of got crept into my head to be out there. So, so that's around 2008, I think, is when I came out. We first moved to Oxnard. And I liked that area a lot, near Ventura, and then kind of decided, okay, still felt kind of out of the outskirts of like LA, and then just Long Beach was great location, because like San Diego's an hour and a half, and LA is only 30 minutes away, so yeah, it's been a great location. So,
what's your home bar?
Swamp Fire Lounge?
No.
Local
Like,
bar?
if you're going to go to a bar locally, where would you go?
Bamboo Club. Yeah. So Bamboo Club, I've done some work for them. They're actually like a 5-minute drive for me. They're really close. And they do a once a month hardcore tiki event that Bamboo Bend puts together.
Yeah, the marketplace.
I have a mug from them. Actually, this is my giveaway. So I did a mug for them, the Bamboo Club.
The baboon.
This is the baboon, yeah. Some people call it a bear. But they're idiots, so they don't know what they're talking about.
They're not welcome
So anyway,
here.
it's a baboon.
If you're watching and you think that's a bear, leave right now.
Exactly. Big Toe thinks it's a bear. He's wrong. So yeah, it's maybe a chubby baboon. I don't know. So I did that. They did this mug in 3 different glazes. They did a kind of a matte finish, black, kind of brown mug glaze. They only did 100 of those. And then the green version, they did 200 of those. And then this was the brown version. And they did 200 of these. So anyway, this is my giveaway. So when you're ready, we can...
How do you want to give it away?
You want to do it now?
Well, we can do it later.
Oh, no, we can do it whatever. We can do it now. So yeah, I was going to do a little trivia thing here. So I'm going to do a little audio thing. So I'm going to do a audio of a particular TV show. This is kind of devil related. So I'm going to play some audio for you. And the first person to guess what TV show this is from wins the mug. Okay, I'm going to play it for you. Ready?
Walking trip got lost in the storm. Excuse me, what do you want? Help me. Please, in the name of mercy, help me. What you saw is not a man. It is the devil himself.
Okay, I hope that's enough. Could you hear that?
I mean, I know the voice.
Yeah. It's from a famous TV show. So I don't see anyone getting that. Oh, someone got it. Twilight Zone.
Bing, 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 bing.
What's the name?
So it's
Mac
Mac Leod 518.
Called the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. So I will ship this mug to him.
Tom
So
is
anyway,
calling
the
it
mug.
a bare boon in the comments.
So someone asked how I came up with the baboon. So the bar owner, I asked if he had any kind of historic, because the bar had some history to it. You know, it was kind of a dive bar.
Yep.
I go, do you have any historic pieces in the bar and something I kind of play off of? And he said there was this brass foot railing that used to be on the bar, and it was hanging over the stage where the bands played. And I went over to look at it, and to me it looked like two lions gripping the bar with their teeth. And he goes, "No, those are baboons." I go, "Jim, I think they're lions." He goes, "No, those are baboons." I go, "Okay, I'll do you a baboon mug." So that's kind of where that.
So people think that your baboon is a bear, but it's actually a lion.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be a baboon. I failed on that one. You know what? It can be whatever you want it to be. That's kind of my theory. So.
Art is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I was a little disappointed in the glazing at the Tiki Farm. This was a Mexico. They did it in Mexico, so it's an import.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's been one of my frustrations with designing mugs. I think I mentioned this. It's just the glazing factor is just it's like an art into itself. You know, it's really a challenge. You know, so yeah, I was hoping for more of a kind of separate the bar from the mug, from the baboon, because he's kind of sitting in a bar. It's kind of the idea.
So more of like a two-tone.
Yeah. So anyway, it's
That's one of the hard things of designing mugs, because like you design a mug and it's your baby, and you basically have to hand off your baby to someone else, and you just hope at the end of the day that it's like somewhat remotely close to what you had envisioned in your head.
Yeah, I mean, along the way, I prove stuff, like the sculpt, and then usually they'll do some glaze testing. That particular mug, we didn't do a lot of glaze testing. It just kind of depends. When I work with John Mulder, I've done a ton of stuff with John Mulder. He's great. I mean, that's the awesome thing is you're with Tiki Farm, and I'm talking to Holden, and then he's talking to the sculptor, or the person glazing it. So there's kind of a separation there.
Yep.
Whereas with Mulder, who's actually making the mug, it's he's going to be doing it, and he can do some glaze samples. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I probably should make it clear. I don't actually make mugs. I'm kind of primarily a designer. So I keep my hands clean, which is nice. I don't have a kiln. I have an oven. I don't have a kiln. So.
So are you saying this mug's not safe to drink from?
No. It's fired in my oven. So.
It's one of those catch-22s, because like if you want a mug made to your vision, right? 9 times out of 10, it's impossible to do that as a large run, and it's impossible to do it quickly. So there are some mugs where it's like, this is my art piece, limited edition mug. Mulder's going to make it in Florida. And then there are some mugs where you're like, you know what? I don't want all my mugs to be $150 each. So we're going to do something different. We're going to go to Tiki Farm. They're going to make a big batch. And then this will be more obtainable to everyone. But the downside is you do have some of those glazing.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, like what you are going through with the Bad Cat mug, it's just the glazing thing. It's just like, okay,
yeah,
why does it look like that?
Bad Kitty was another example where it has taken so much longer than I anticipated. One of the reasons is because they kept sending back glossy mugs. And I'm like, this is a cat. It's fur. And it is a
Yeah.
wood tiki. Like, it should not be glossy. It should be matte.
It's not a wet cat.
Yeah.
It's
It's not raining.
glossy
outside.
glossy mugs to me look wet. So yeah, that's my. Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah, it's like when I design mugs for bars and stuff. It's kind of I always tell them, because they're like, oh, can I get a mug in 6 months? I'm like, no, not at this point. Maybe it used to be that way. So we're looking at
Maybe a year. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But the other thing too is that when I work with bars, I don't want to leave them hanging. It's like I want to recommend places. It kind of depends on what kind of mug. If they're looking for more of a limited collectible mug or something to use in the bar, order this drink, you get this mug. And that's more of an import thing. And most of them want like a collectible, like 150 mugs, 200 mugs.
Yep.
So you're kind of then limited to who you can refer, because I don't want to, I'll recommend people, but, everybody's so swamped right now. It's crazy. So,
I think that's one of the big problems, honestly, facing Tiki right now is there are way more people that want to buy mugs, way more people that want to design mugs than there are people actually making the mugs, which,
Well, and that's reflected in some of the prices that, like, for instance, my most recent mug that came out this past weekend was the Tiki Caliente mug.
Which that mug is insane. That is such a cool mug.
Literally the next morning after the show, we all have a breakfast because I've been working with the show since day one. We have breakfast and Rory is like, "Oh, look, this mug just sold for $6.99." And the show barely ended, So, and then this was the companion piece. So the idea was to do the Menahoonies, the female and the male.
I absolutely love that Rory put on that. And I don't know, is that inspired by Mulder? But the art show where they sent a whole bunch of those mugs to different artists and everyone did their own spin on them.
Yeah, they did this a couple years ago. They did the same thing with this, and Mulder basically put that together. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
I love that. It reminds me of I think Squid put one together a long time ago that was like, I think Tom did like Piggy Mortis or something. It was a bunch of pigs. It was something cool like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun because I did a hand painted one of her, which was fun. I've only done that. I haven't done a lot of that. It's it just kind of gets me away from the 2D artwork, which is mostly what I do. It's kind of fun to.
And then your piece had some like a hairpiece from Nancy's Fancy Fruits, right?
Yeah. So I got finished with this thing, and I was like, that'd be cool if she had a 3-dimensional hairpiece. So it's funny because at Caliente, somebody goes, "Yeah, the best part of your mug was that hairpiece." Oh, I really appreciate that. But yeah, it probably was the best part of the mug. But it was fun to do. It kind of gets me out of what I usually do. So yeah. But yeah, the prices are crazy on certain mugs, So trying to think of more current stuff. This is a mug I did for Strongwater.
Yep. That was another amazing mug. I just recently got to go to Strongwater. That bar is fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. It's basically a skull with kind of the concept was kind of a seashell turning into a skull kind of thing.
Yep.
With the octopus.
With those
but that was a Tiki Farm. That's a Tiki Farm mug that I thought is a China import one. I think turned out pretty cool. They did a really good job on it with the glaze.
I think it's fantastic. I think that's one of the best import mugs that I've seen.
Yeah, I think they're doing a red version.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah. That was the initial. And I can't remember how many they did of that one, but yeah, it's not numbered. So what else? Oh, so I'm working on a mug right now So every year I do one mug a year that I fund myself, and John Mulder has always done it. I think he did 6 of them. And the last one I did was my Rum Cat mug. So
I got mine right
one,
here.
cool.
This was actually one of my other giveaway questions. So before you spill it,
Okay.
I got this pin from the Black Lagoon Rum. Comment the correct answer in the comments, and you will get this pin from the Black Lagoon Rum. The question is, what is the official name of Rum Cat? But yeah, man, I love this mug. And that's why one of the reasons probably why when I had the idea for Bad Kitty, I was like, there's one person that needs to do this mug, and it's Doug Horne.
Oh.
Do you have cats yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I am actually petless for the first time in 30 years. We had to put our cat down a couple months ago. And about 15. So yeah, I've always had cats. So yeah, I'm actually trying to enjoy not having a pet right now. Just, that responsibility. But cats are easy, so, but yeah, I was inspired by seeing my cat. I put a box down and, she jumps in it. So that was where that mug kind of came from.
I saw the correct answer. Maoist guessed it right. Hooch the Rum Cat. So you will get this pin from the Black Lagoon Rum. You created like a whole story for Hooch, right? Like a background story.
My girlfriend Nancy wrote that story, and she's a really good writer. So yeah, with every mug came a little postcard with the story. So we kind of wanted to do a Long Beach connection. Because he has a fez on, and I didn't want to just throw a fez on him because fezzes are cool, So, I wanted, because I was like, okay, why am I putting a fez on it? And Nancy wrote a story that, after World War II, the Rum Cat hung out on the docks, and so he looks a little greasy. So then he kind of joined the Shriners, and so they loved him so much they gave him he was inducted into the Shriners and with the fez, and so she wrote a great story with that. So yeah, but she's the writer. I'm the visual guy. So yeah,
Fair enough. I love that story. It was one of my first mugs, and I have a cat who looks exactly like Hooch. He's locked in the other room because he'll knock stuff over, but he is a gigantic boy. He's a behemoth, a gargantuan, if you will, and he's orange. Yeah. And he's just a total love muffin.
Nice. So nice.
I saw that. I knew I had to have it.
Yeah, I think I'm due to get another kitty soon. I don't know. I love dogs, but I think they're just a little more work. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't see too many dogs in your mug designs and your paintings, Doug.
Well, I did that kitten in a mug. I don't know if you ever saw that painting. It was kitten sitting in a mug, and I had a lot of dog people going, "You have any with a dog?" So I did pug in a mug. So I'd like pugs because I stayed with a friend in Vegas. Actually, Jason, who I did this project with. He had 3 pugs, and I thought they were really awesome. So I thought, okay, a pug is perfect. I thought that'd be a great thing. So this is another mug. So this was the year previous to Rum Cat.
Yep. My
Hungry Prawn mug, and again, it's another John Mulder mug.
I didn't even know it was possible to make a mug with a hole in it.
It's funny when I it's really cool to hold like this. You can kind of put your finger it's like a gun. But I asked him about that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." That was great about working with John is he. I would challenge him with a lot of designs. He was like, anyone else would have said, "No, I can't do that." John was awesome because he would say, "Oh yeah, I can do that," and sometimes it, like that mug I did, the lantern, Chinese lantern mug,
with the like
know.
bamboo
Handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one was a real challenge for him, and because he sent me some pictures at the beginning stages of that thing, and I was looking at the pictures. I'm like, okay, what's wrong? So the whole thing had collapsed because there's like a hollow base to it.
Yeah.
And it completely collapsed. And I said, "Oh no, that's not good." And he goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out." So he figured it out, and yeah, he's amazing. So
Do you think John just
that's
liked
probably
a challenge, or was he like cussing you out the whole time? That Doug.
no, he never complained. That was funny. He's like, "Oh, I'll figure it out. You know, I'll do it." So and he did. He nailed it. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite mugs that I've done. You know,
Okay.
because I always wanted like to add on stuff to it, like the handle, or you know, I did another mug called Taboo, which had a resin bone nose in it. And Nancy had some experience with resin stuff, so she made the bone nose piece. It's a pain in the ass because John sends me the blank, and then we'll kind of add the stuff on. So it's more work. It's not like just we get a mug and I like to add that little extra touch of putting something with it, because that's one of the things I loved about Mug Tiki was they would do stuff like that. They would add fur to a mug. It's like, okay, this isn't meant to be put in the dishwasher. It's a display piece. It's like a piece of art. So I always loved that about their stuff. So my current mug that I'm working on, I'm actually working with a new mug maker this year. And his name is Jim Moore Monsters.
He's going to be with us later this week, actually.
Oh, cool.
On 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, yeah.
Did this awesome creature mug, which I had to buy at Tiki Oasis. I just love this mug. Like, it's really cool. So it's like, oh man, so my next mug is kind of a headhunting theme. So this is kind of a sketch that I kind of presented to him.
It's so next level. This is like a mug turned to 11.
So basically, this one was inspired by a artifact that it was this piece of wood that had the skull like strapped into this chunk. This is basically a piece of driftwood, and it had the skull kind of strapped onto it.
Okay.
And there wasn't a lot of description on it, so I didn't know what. It said that it was either like an ancestral thing or like a headhunting thing, So I kind of ran with it as a headhunting thing.
Where did you see
the
this?
pattern on the? It was online. I should have pulled a picture of it. When I release the mug, I'll probably. So the skull part here, was on a piece of driftwood. And it was kind of with twine was strapped to the. But it was an old piece, it was pretty cool. So so that kind of got the ball rolling with the concept. So the pattern on the back is kind of it's from a headhunting shield. I forget the tribe. I should have written that down. I thought it was kind of cool. So I kind of wanted to, because with that next mug, I was thinking of either doing something dark or something lighter, So I decided to go with something kind of darker. So Jim has been working on that, and Jim is a one-man shop, so he's got, I was in no rush for it, so I just wanted quality to it,
That's one of those pieces where it's like, this has to be done a certain way,
Right, because I was thinking about import, but I was like, okay, import with this mug would be a disaster because it's kind of complicated, So. So we're at the he's got the sculpt done, and he started the molds. So
is it going to be two pieces?
No, actually, we kind of decided just to do one piece. He thought he could pull it off as a one piece mug. So yeah.
I'm excited for that one. I'm also excited for, you got one coming up with Aku, I believe. Which I saw the design for that one, and my mind was, yep.
The Invisible Man. mug. That's actually finally, that one's been going on for over a year. So that's a Tiki Farm mug that's coming out. Last I heard, early December. So that should be coming out pretty soon.
And you
So,
did a like an
hopefully,
art print that's kind of similar, but the mug was different.
yeah,
It wasn't Tiki Bob.
yeah. It was a different. I am holding a different mug, but yeah, that was kind of the inspiration for the piece because that bar Todd wanted to do a series of classic monsters. And so that was the first one I did was, let's see, what did I do with that? Was the Gil Manchu for Aku Aku.
Yep.
So that was Aku Aku. So that was the first one. And I kind of like the mashup with the, the classic. And that one also has a cool story that Nancy wrote, So the next one was The Invisible Man. That's coming out in December. And then I also sent in a Frankenstein mug.
Okay.
That probably will obviously next year sometime. So, yeah.
When are we going to get this guy?
Which guy? Oh, I'm not seeing, your video's not coming up. It's just been spinning.
Oh, really?
I don't know what's going on there. Yeah.
We'll wait for it. It's
What?
Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should do him. That'd be a fun one.
I love this piece.
Yeah.
I am curious. I wanted to ask you. Every time I look at it, I puzzle about it. What is he drinking? Is he drinking a tiki cocktail, or is this like type O?
Yeah. I think it's definitely type O for sure. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Not a blood. It's definitely a red drink. So yeah.
He's got these
So
these eyes that he's like looking to the side, and I always
Right,
wonder if
yeah.
he's like there's some obnoxious like patron at the bar who's just belligerent, and he's like looking at him as though he's his next meal.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I did that piece, and the bat hanging next to him. I like that visual so much that I actually did a piece just of that bat, which has been a really popular image. So that was kind of a fun. But yeah, I should do that'd be a fun mug to do. I have another piece that I did, the Forgotten Drunkard. I should have pulled that sketch, but it's based on those Aurora kits. Remember those models? They did like Mummy and Werewolf, and one of the Aurora model kits was the Forgotten Prisoner. So I kind of did a spin on that with the Forgotten Drunkard, which is kind of basically the skeleton sitting at a tiki bar. So that one, I've proposed that to some people, but they have no one's accepted it yet. So, but that'd be a fun one to maybe do. But yeah, I should do Nosferatu. That'd be a cool one.
Do you have a favorite monster of the classics?
I've always liked the Mummy, but he's not. But the Gillman's really popular right now. I like him too, but the Mummy's kind of slow moving. He's not the sexiest monster in the world.
Nor perhaps not the scariest either. You can outrun him.
Yeah, 'cause
you just
he's
gotta keep moving.
He's so slow. It's like you can just run away from him. It's like, but yeah, I like all the classics. I don't know. I often would love. I also love some of the obscure B movie stuff. I know there's some people doing some mugs that are kind of more obscure. They're not the most popular.
Well, you collect. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you collect like old pulp paperbacks.
Yeah.
So you're into some obscure stuff. How did that start?
Basically, it was for the cover art. I love the artwork, and I love the cheesiness of the titles and everything. So yeah, I have a pretty huge. I don't know how many, maybe 100 books of paperbacks. They're kind of racy, but they're basically from like the 50s to the 1960s, but for that time they were racy,
Well, they're supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be like the smut that you're not supposed to own. That's the appeal of it.
Well, and then from reading about these books, it's like the cover artwork was pretty racy, and it would kind of pull you in, and then the stories were not quite as as racy. Once you got in there and started reading,
Perhaps they have
So one time
absolutely nothing to do with the cover.
right? Yeah, and I once people always ask me, "Do you read these things?" I'm like, "No, I have no interest." Horrible. They're horrible stories. They're badly written. I just love the artwork and the artists, and I love the cheesiness of the titles and stuff. It's like there's some pretty funny stuff out there.
I always think of it's like Forbidden Planet, where they have the guy holding the woman, and she's in the like scantily clad dress, and then you watch it, and it's like, wait, where is that? Where is that?
Yeah. So this is a mug I did for my first Tiki Caliente, and actually it was the second Tiki Caliente mug.
Did they have a mug the first year?
No, they didn't have a mug because it's based around M Modern Gallery did a Tiki art show, and he didn't do a mug that year. So then the next year he didn't do an event, so he took a year off. I think he was deciding he wanted to kind of continue with that event, So then year 3, which was year 2, we did this mug. So I think I saw one on eBay sold for $32. I'm like, okay, that's cheap. That's a historic mug right there, man. And then I saw another one that sold for like $200. So
people sometimes don't realize what they're looking at, I think.
Yeah, and that's based on the Tiki poolside at the tropics.
Yeah, Caliente.
Yeah. Have you been to the Caliente Tropics?
So I've been to the resort. Is it a resort hotel? I call it a resort.
Yeah.
Feels like a resort to me.
Yeah.
I went there earlier this year. It's very like kitschy. I love it. I haven't been to the event. I haven't been in it long enough. It had sold out a couple of years ago, and by the time they opened up tickets again, I had already made other plans. But I'm hoping to get out there.
It's pretty laid back. It's only, this year it was light. It was like 550 people. And I think years previous, it's gotten up to like 650. But yeah, it's fun. It's not that overwhelming event like Tiki Oasis, So
Does it feel more like people have told me it's more like a family, has the family vibe. Like you're just hanging out. It's not so much like Tiki Oasis in San Diego. Kind of the marketplace almost felt like a Comic-Con. It was huge.
Right, and that was a new change this year, and I had mixed feelings about that. It was kind of because the previous hotel I was outside by the pool, which I kind of like being outside, but one thing about having all the vendors in one space is the people that walk in the door are going there to shop.
Yep.
They're in that mindset, whereas when I was outside by the pool, it's a mixture of people shopping, people just hanging out at the pool or walking around or whatever. And like you said, the Comic-Con thing was that's kind of that feeling that I got too. It's like they probably should have put some, I don't know, maybe a ukulele player or some kind of music or something. I don't know, to kind of
maybe just like in the center,
warming up a bit. Yeah, would be kind of fun. But I like the idea of all the vendors in one spot.
Yep.
So I think that was a good thing. But I love that hotel. I thought it was great.
I think tickets for Arizona go on sale in November, so that's coming right up.
Oh, okay.
It's less than a month away.
I'm not sure what the attendance is for that one. That's one of my favorites. So this is another mug. I did Frankie's Tiki Room.
Yep.
Their anniversary mug. So it's kind of a stylized creature from the Black Lagoon was kind of the concept behind that one. So that was fun.
Frankie's Tiki Room is one of my all-time favorite tiki bars.
Oh, really?
Of course, it's got art from Tom Laura, Big Toe, It's got art from you. One of my favorite
Yeah,
of your pieces, actually, it looks like a mad scientist, and he's making
yeah,
concoctions and
yeah,
cocktails and
kind of a
Frankie mugs.
yeah, kind of oh God, I'm drawing a blank on that actor. Um, Vincent Price. It's kind of a Vincent Price type character. Um, yeah, I keep trying to talk them into taking that Tom Laura art down. Kind of dirties up the place. I don't know. It's
You know what
just
they should do? I think they should take that down, put it out back somewhere where no one's going to see it, and they should put up a portrait. You can paint it yourself of a baboon.
oh, there you go.
Just a
Yeah.
giant baboon on the wall of Frankie's Tiki Room.
It's funny. I just got a commission for a walrus in a captain's hat. Yeah. So the guy's bar I don't know if it's called the Walrus Bar or whatever.
Okay.
It's like, okay, sure. That sounds kind of fun. I don't know, whatever. Because it's like when I get requests for commission stuff, I'm kind of like, okay, first of all, is it something I want to do? And also, it's nice to be in that position, but is it something that I think I can pull off? You got to kind of know your limitations
Yep.
on stuff, Like one time someone asked me, will you do a pinup girl walking a tiki on the beach? I'm like, no, I won't, I won't do that. So anyway.
Are you open to commissions right now? For people that are interested?
Yeah, it kind of comes and goes. Yeah, mug designs and yeah, I do menu art. I've done menus for Golden Tiki and Forbidden Island, and then some other non-tiki bars. And my background is kind of graphic arts.
Okay.
That's kind of where I came. So yeah. So when the economy was crashing, I kind of hit this stage where I was like, okay, I either go get a 9-to-5 job because I was freelancing as an illustrator, and I was like, I either go get a 9-to-5 job or there's this new thing called eBay, and I can just create art that I want to create. And eBay is a great way to put your stuff out there and see if there's like an audience for it.
Yep.
So I started doing tiki art, because I love tiki. So I thought I'd just do some fun tiki art, and it started selling. And this guy Ben's Art, and I think he's in Florida. I don't know where he is now, but anyway, he's a carver, amazing guy. He messaged me and said, hope you don't mind if I post your stuff on Tiki Central. And I was like, what's Tiki Central? So I went over to Tiki Central, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. A bunch of people are into Tiki. So that was kind of it kind of took me down this path, because I didn't want to go 9-to-5. If I had to, I would, but I became an artist to just do stuff that I want to paint, So yeah, and then the early days, I kind of, because before that, I was kind of subscribing to Tiki News, and that's how I kind of discovered like the Kahiki and the Maikai, and I actually made trips to these places to, these last standing iconic places.
Yep. With the
Yeah,
Kahiki
so
Supper Club?
and that inspired me. What's that?
The Kahiki Supper Club? Did you get to
What's
go
that?
there?
Yeah, Ohio. Yeah. So I went there probably a few years before they closed. So I was kind of like, that was also inspiration from visiting these places was, in my art, I wanted to kind of create that same environment when you walk into those places, because it really does transport you into a fantasy world, but it's more than just a Disney. I never thought of it as Disney, it just was cool because it had that history behind it. When you go to the bathroom, the sinks are old. It's an old
Yep.
seashell. It's got that, which is really cool. So a lot of that in those early days kind of inspired a lot of my artwork, wanting to kind of create that same feeling. The only difference is I put monkeys at the bar instead of people, because,
More
people are a
interesting.
pain in the ass. Yeah, exactly.
You
So then I became known as the monkey guy. And I was like, no, 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 I don't.
you don't
So then
like
I
that
stopped
name?
doing monkey. Once you get stereotyped, it's kind of like, no, I got to move on. So I've kind of developed two styles. One is kind of more of a cartoony style, which I don't do as much, these days. I kind of come from a Mad Magazine growing up. I
Okay.
loved all those art. Um, and um, so I have kind of a cartoon style, and I also have more of a classic um, style that's kind of like I've been doing a lot of like pinup portraits kind of stuff, like Anime Wong and stuff like that. It's a little more realistic, I guess, but it's got a kind of a stylization to it as well. But it's less cartoony. If I just draw it straight out of my head, it's going to be more cartoony than if I use kind of a reference, you know, piece for it.
What are most
So,
of your pieces? What do you use to make them?
I basically, so back when I first started, I was doing a lot of digital work, painting in Photoshop, and I would use Illustrator and Photoshop. Um, so when I first like went on to Tiki Central, I had a lot of digital stuff. Um, so then as the years went on, I had a lot of people requesting original pieces, original art. So I kind of went back to my roots of like drawing on paper, and I tend to like dry media, like color pencil,
Okay.
pastel, watercolor, gouache. I kind of mixed media kind of stuff. So these days, I've been doing mostly that kind of stuff. I kind of go back and forth between the digital and the traditional drawing. It's funny because when I went from that digital work to back to the original one-off pieces, um, it was pretty. Uh, it was inspiring because I was like, "Oh, this is an original piece. There's only one of these." So that was pretty exciting, because when you're working digitally, it's kind of like, okay, it's in cyberspace. It's a little more accepted these days. Because I remember in the early days, it was kind of frowned upon
Yep.
by a lot of people, kind of in the tiki scene too. I remember there was some conversations on Tiki Central that were kind of, oh, is this digital art really art? And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's created from a blank page. It's just a different tool that was making it come alive.
Social media.
Yeah, yeah, you know. But so yeah, like, and then with that Gargantuan show, it's been that was another thing that kind of it's been a great kind of forced me to do stuff that I want to do. Part of the fun thing is we come up with subjects for that show. They're not necessarily tiki.
Yeah, you
So
always
that's
have a
kind of
bunch of
fun.
subjects, and I have to wonder, is
Yeah,
it one of those things where it's like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. This is such a good idea. This is such a good idea. I'm looking forward to this. And then as the event creeps closer, you're like, oh, I only have like 2 of 9 things. What am I going to do?
yeah, yeah. Well, you have a lot of ideas. I mean, because you come to me with, because I think I still owe you a mug design. Um, so you usually come to me with an idea, which is cool.
We've got a
Makes my
lot.
job easier.
We've got a lot, and a lot of it hasn't been revealed. And I get
Yeah.
so I believe we've revealed 3. So Bad Kitty, which is nearing the end of production, thank the Lord,
Right.
at Mount Tiki. So that should be shipping soon. The
Cool.
Satisfied Seal, which Patrick he's already sculpted it. He's made the molds,
Yeah.
and now Monkey Skull is going to be doing it. Although now there's a shortage on glaze, so we'll see
Okay.
how that goes. And then the other one, which I get emails on a daily basis about, is Trouble in Paradise, which is that
Oh,
like a
really?
downed helicopter, and there's like a rum runner, so they got rum flowing out.
Right.
But I love
And
working with
that
you,
one,
Doug.
Patrick doing that one? Okay, I don't remember.
Yep.
Gold. Okay. Yeah.
And then there's at least
Nice.
2 others, and I think a third on the
Yeah.
way that we haven't even announced. So
Right.
something for
And
people to
one I
look
have
forward to.
not given. Um, yeah, I can't think. Oh, here's my dodo bird. That's my Dodo bird. That
Oh, your companion?
again, yeah, with the captain. That was another John Mulder mug. I'm actually working on a book right now, and I'm trying to get as many of my mugs in there as I can. It's mostly my artwork, but I want to feature the mugs, so I'm going to sprinkle those throughout.
So this is going to be a book all of Doug Horne art?
Yeah, so I'm basically self-publishing it. So my brother's done some self-publishing, so he's helping me with that. I'm just trying to get the content in there, the written content. I shot the mugs myself, but we did a prototype on the book, and the mug pictures look terrible. I need some like reflective light or something. So I need to get those professionally shot, because I want it to look nice. So that's been dragging on. So it's another project that I'm working on. So
mugs are so hard because like sometimes you want like to put stuff in them, right? So you're making a cocktail, you're putting it in the mug, and now there's condensation on the mug, and if you have to turn the mug, now you're touching the mug and you're ruining the condensation. Or if it's glossy and you put a light on it, now it's reflecting back into your camera lens. That's a whole skill set in and of itself.
Yeah. There's the guy that directed, or he did the videography for the Val Kilmer documentary. So he does still photography. I know he's worked with Crazy Al. God, I'm spacing out his name. He's gonna hopefully shoot it for me. So
right on.
He does a lot of.
You can do it in Crazy Al's backyard.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You'll have little chunks of sawdust on your photos. How did you, I know we're on overtime here, so we'll start wrapping stuff up, about the Swamp Fire Lounge. How'd you come up with the name?
Well, when I first logged into Tiki Central, I went on as Mr. Crafty. So I was like, after a year of that, I was kind of like, okay, Mr. Crafty's not cool. I had a logo, and it was me holding a paint palette, and I had like prints in my hand. It was like a cartoon character of me. And so my authenticity cards with my prints said Mr. Crafty. So if you have a Mr. Crafty authenticity card with your print, that's rare. There's not a lot of them out there. So I thought, okay, I need to refigure that. So I came up with Swampfire. Basically, it's a Martin Denny song. I thought it just sounded exotic and cool, So that's kind of where that came from. It's Swampfire.
I might start calling you Mr. Crafty. I don't know.
No. I know, but yeah, that's kind of the early days. So I have some mug designs I can show you that are not. Actually, I'm kind of shopping these around.
Okay.
So this one is my Cyclops mug. I think it's reversed.
Excellent.
So it's a Cyclops skull. This one is a religious one. I thought it'd be kind of fun.
You're gonna have to find the right client.
Well, I did a piece, Jesus Loves Tiki. It's like an early piece.
Okay.
It's basically Jesus, and instead of a heart in his chest was kind of a tiki mug. So some of the religious people didn't like that. So, but that was my controversial piece. That the incredible melting tiki.
Oh man, that reminds me of like some of the old Monk Tiki stuff.
Oh yeah. This was just kind of a bowl. I don't know. That needs more thought. It's kind of a fun one. I don't know if you can see this one. It's a periscope mug.
Ooh.
Kind of an octopus.
Like a tentacle. You got the eyeball.
Eyeball.
Man, I love that one.
Yeah, I think that'd be. I proposed this one to somebody, but they didn't go for it. So it's one of those things where I'm one of those people that needs to kind of lock myself in a cabin in the woods and like think of ideas. So that's I have to sit down and think about it, and I'll have a session. It's like, okay, come up with nothing, or I come up with some good ideas, worth pursuing, but yeah, it's one of my dreams is to rent a cabin in the woods and hopefully not get murdered, by
That sounds like a Stephen King novel, dude.
Exactly. So hopefully someday, but come out of there, with some creative mugs,
I love it.
Cool.
Had a blast talking to you, Doug.
Yeah, it's fun. Thanks for asking me to come on. Hopefully it was somewhat entertaining.
Always. You're one of my favorite artists.
Cool.
Some of your art's in some of my favorite tiki bars. Obviously, we've worked together a bunch of times, but your stuff is always original and it's fun, and
I appreciate it.
You're killing it.
Thanks. Cool.
With that said, I think it's time to...
So this person can contact me to get their mug, or you can send me their info or my free giveaway.
I took a screenshot, so I'll be able to send it to you.
Okay, cool.
The lion, baboon, monkey mug. All right, so Squid's Tiki Travelers, manufactured in the U.S. by Tiki Bauer. They are artist-proof mugs. They did not sell them in glossy black, but it makes sense because it's 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. The winner of these mugs, and you get both of them, is Lauren Ringley. So congratulations, Lauren. You have won Squid's Tiki Traveler mugs.
So how many more what day am I? You said 13.
I think there's 7
interviews.
more. I think you might be the hump.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I saw Woody's and I watched some of Rob's as well. So
we got more Monsters, who's making a mug for you coming up. We got
is that the next?
Lost Temple Traders is tomorrow. And we're also going to have Skipper Christian from Trader Sam's. He's going to be on the show making some cocktails. And then
cool.
We got Tiki Tony. We got Faust. He's going to be joining us. There's still quite a few people.
So it's funny. Everyone always tells me I'm the nicest guy in Tiki. And I always say, no, I'm the nicest guy in the room until Tiki Tony walks in. Because I don't want to be known as the nicest guy.
You're the tallest guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't realize how tall you were until I met you at Tiki Oasis. And I was like,
yeah.
But awesome.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Doug. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks,
talking to you.
Gabriel.
I'm so excited to announce some of the mugs that we've been working on together in secret. I'm sure people are going to love them.
Cool. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hopefully that Bad Kitty, that's coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night, Doug.
Thanks, Gabriel. Take care.